Hi everyone. In this video, I wanted to go through some of the biggest mistakes that I see people making over and over again when it comes to their digital product Etsy stores. So, the first one I will jump on in with is your storefront is incomplete. So, no banner, no bio, no branding, no trust, really. So, basically, you have to build up trust with Etsy. So, that means you have to fill everything out in your storefront. So, fill out your about section, make sure you have your privacy policy and everything else that you can possibly fill out on the back end. Make sure that you just go through and fill it all out. And that includes frequently asked questions. So if you answer everybody's questions, like all the frequent ones that come up, and explain to people how buying a digital download from you works, they're more likely to buy from you because you're building trust with them, you're answering their questions, and they're not like sitting there confused going, I'm not sure what this actually is, or when I purchase it, I'm not sure what happened or how I get this product or what format it comes in. So make sure that you answer those questions and you will definitely do a lot better. Now, the next thing that I see a lot is the mock-ups just look really off. So that could be dark, unrealistic shadows around products, stretched images, things that are cut off to the side. So I know that Etsy changed the thumbnail sizes, and there are a lot of listings still on Etsy. I have a couple myself that still haven't been fixed, and so there are parts cut off on the sides. They need to be fixed. I have to fix mine too. Then the next thing that I see is really bad typography choices. So fonts that don't go together at all, or fonts that have been slapped together really poorly, like spacing in script fonts and capital script fonts. They're sort of a real big no-no. Hard to read script fonts, that's another one. So you want to make sure that your typography choices are clear and people can read them. And they're the right sizes too. So make sure that they look, in proportion for the hierarchy. And so you can actually see clearly what you want the eye to be drawn to. Next thing that I see a lot is pricing. So pricing that doesn't make sense. So that could be pricing yourself way too low or too high. If you're too low, it tends to make you look untrustworthy. And if you're too high, you can just price yourself out. So you need to really benchmark yourself against other sellers on a regular basis for similar quality offers. So always make sure it's for a similar sized pack that you're sort of basing your pricing on, or a similar price product. The next thing that I see, which is really, really common, is products that don't have a niche or a specific audience. So if your products are for everyone, they're really for no one because they're not standing out to people. And back in the day when Etsy first started and when people first started selling digital products on there, that was okay because you weren't competing with so many people. But now there's so much competition, you need to make your products specifically for someone or with a purpose in mind. And you need to really make sure that your SEO is targeting that utility and purpose. So you really need to hone in on that in both your product and your title, listing, and mockups. Okay, now we've got some of those mistakes out of the way. Something else that I see a lot is people get really stuck when they see that they have lots of views and favorites, but no sales. And to me, this means that something is almost working and people are liking certain parts, but they're not fully sold on your product. And so, one thing that you should do is duplicate that product and tweak things. So, this could be testing out, making some changes to that actual product and putting that up as a separate listing. Or it could even be changing the mock up that you were using or the mock ups that you were using and see if changing that image converts better. So don't just sit there and just say, oh, I'm getting views and favorites, but no sales and complain about it. Think, what could I actually do to convert these people? Because they obviously like something about it. The other thing that I see, and this is the last point that I'm going to give you, is that a lot of people don't leverage their best sellers. So go through regularly and look at your top 10 best sellers in your store. Probably every month or two, I would have a look at them and look at what it is about those products that is doing really well. Like, Are they using the same elements? Are they using a particular layout that people seem to like? Try and think about what it is that people are liking about that listing. Is it certain clip art that you've used and maybe that's popular or that's trending? If so, what can you take away from that, and how can you use that information to create some more products? Because these products are proven in your store, they're doing well. So what else could you do with them? So could you tweak a copy slightly for a different audience? Could you use different colors? Could you tweak the layout but use all the same elements? Like, there's lots of different options there on what you could do to get more people to your store, to your listings, and buying. So take those and look at your own store and see what you could do with it to make it even more better. Like, if you think about it, if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change. So if your store is struggling or you don't feel that you're having success with what you're currently doing, try something different, experiment, try and figure out what it is that people are drawn to in your store. You might also find that when you look at your top sellers in your store, that there's a common thread. So it might be a style, it might be a particular audience. Have a good study of those results, because if, for instance, let's say you're a stationery store and people only come to your store and buy um, anything that's sport related, then you know that people are sort of liking what you do with those products and you go all in on all the sports. If you found that people come to your store and you're a stationery seller, you could maybe see a pattern and they're only coming for florals and whimsical sort of designs, then that's your niche. Go all in on it and really create as many products as you possibly can for those. So I think that if you start to leverage your bestsellers and start testing things more, you'll start to see like an increase pretty quickly on what you're doing, and you'll start to see results coming through. And I think, at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants. So just make sure you look at everything in your store with an objective eye and use it as an experiment and test new things. So I hope that this has helped. I hope that you've taken something away from this, especially if you're a beginner. And yeah, if you've got any questions, always feel free to sing out. And if you want any help with your store, you can always come and join the Passive Income Society membership, where I do audits all the time on people's stores, or the Template Creator Society. I will leave links to both in the comments. So I hope that this has been helpful, and I will see you later. Bye for now.